I sentence you to death, Claudius, in the most beautiful possible way.
Claudius will tell you how to frame your laws. Profiteering and bribery will stop. This Senate will function only in the name of Roman justice, and all of you who have acquired office dishonestly will be replaced by men who love Rome better than their purses.
126, take 6.
He claims the full moon will see my death. If he's wrong, I'll have him killed. And if he's right, I'll take him with me. I can use a clever old vulture like that, even in death.
68, take 8.
My first act as God shall be one of clemency. I sent for you because I wish to put an end to your career as an historian. You might write something I didn't like, but we shall postpone your death until tomorrow.
Charles Laughton, Flora Robson, Emily Williams, in a film that was made 28 years ago. And this is the first time it's ever been shown. Since 1937, it's been lying in tins collecting dust in the film vaults, forgotten. It was the first time that anyone had tried to turn Robert Graves' book into a film. But it was an ill-fated attempt, and it was abandoned after only a few weeks shooting. But it was such a sensation at the time, and the mystery surrounding it was so intriguing, that we thought you might like to know the inside story. But getting the inside story hasn't been easy. All the records have either been destroyed or lost, and so getting the facts has involved a lot of patient detective work, tracking down people who worked on it, those of them who are still alive anyway, to find out what really happened. But the story begins, in more ways than one, with Robert Graves in New York.
Well, really, the whole story starts with the appearance in my life of the Emperor Claudius. And that was in about October 1929, just before I emigrated to Majorca, where I've been living ever since. And I noted in my diary, I used to keep a sort of commonplace book in those days, I no longer do, that I'd been reading the story of Claudius in Suetonius and Tacitus, and I knew there was a mistake somewhere, and that one day I'd write the real story, if I ever needed the money. I actually said it in those words. Well, then I went to Majorca, and after about 5 years, money...
Laughton and Oberon had been cast by Corder, and I had no control over that. And I went to work and designed the costumes and chose the other members of the cast, who were Flora Robson and Emily Williams, a very bright young man, and Ralph Richardson and Robert Newton and some other distinguished members of the acting fraternity.
So now the cast included Merle Oberon, Flora Robson, and Emlyn Williams. Robert Newton, alas, is no longer alive. And when we asked Ralph Richardson what he remembered about it, he said, nothing. I was never in the cast. But at the same time that Sternberg was talking to us, Merle Oberon was at her home in Beverly Hills. She has her own version of how and why Corder wanted to make I, Claudius.
I know that I was Alex's big star at the time. I was very young, but nevertheless I'd been lucky enough to be in some very successful pictures, like Henry VIII, The Scarlet Pimpernel, and then Dark Angel, which I made in America, was a fantastic success. So Alex wanted to find something that was a kind of showcase for me. And that was why he bought I, Claudius, and proceeded to make this big, magnificent picture. Got Von Sternberg to direct it because he believed that Von Sternberg was a woman's director, and then surrounded it with this fabulous cast of Charles Laughton and all the other great actors that you know of.
Corder must have had great confidence in her. She was to be a beautiful 15-year-old virgin, forced to marry her 50-year-old cousin Claudius, this stumbling, stuttering object of ridicule. Messalina, who then degenerates into a depraved liberty and whose name has become a byword for immorality. A succulent but extraordinarily difficult part which any leading actress would have given their eye teeth to play. Claudius's nephew was one of the most vicious, dissolute, and perverted tyrants of all time. A psychopath who made himself emperor by slaughtering all his imperial relatives and anyone else who happened to get in the way. A wonderful part, this, for Emlyn Williams.
Yes, it was indeed a marvelous part. I've just been refreshing my memory. As a matter of fact, I had worked for Corder already, oddly enough, with Merle, too, and Robert Durnat. It was Merle's second picture, I think, and my second picture, and Robert's first, in a film called Men of Tomorrow, about 5 years before this. And for the year or two before the Claudius, I'd been in my own play, Night Must Fall, in London, and during it, Corder asked me to supper with him, which was very flattering, in his flat, and we talked, and he said he would like to do, or to hear any ideas I had on any films I wanted to do, and we talked at length about a film about Nijinsky, which I'd always wanted to do, and that I should write it and play it, and also a film that I was very interested in, the idea of a film about the Rattenbury murder case for Merle and for Laurence Olivier. But things, as so often happens, changed, and I went to America with my play, and all that sort of came apart. When I came back, I was rung up by my agent to play Caligula, and I suppose as I...
Isn't she fantastically beautiful?
Fantastically beautiful.
Just as you, my dear uncle, are fantastically ugly. What do you think of him, Messalina? Just look at him. He's more dead than alive. He's only waiting for me to find an interesting way to kill him. But does he fear death? No, he just squats there trembling with your beauty. Isn't that so, Claudius?
How can one conceal anything from the gods?
Claudius, I've decided. You shall die an exquisite death.
How? My God and my master.
Messalina, how would you like to marry Claudius?
My family have other plans.
What plans?
And all of you who have acquired position dishonestly will be replaced by men who love Rome better than their purses. I will break everything rotten in the Senate like an old dry twig.